Just to describe shadow, I had someone over the weekend ask me what it is that is a shadow. And obviously, they're not talking about shadow as in a shadow itself, shade from the sun, but the grander concept of shadow. Shadow, in its more profound form, is the background to the light. You could find the shadow in the negativity of any positive experience. For example, you're traveling and there's a shadow to that vacation experience. There's a shadow to the character of even the most wise people. There's always going to be the shadow that is opposite the light. And actually, the more light, the more persona, the more expansive the concept, the person is, the more we can discuss the shadow and understand deep ideas about their deficiency, but only as a shadow. We name it shadow because it reminds us of the light that is its focus, and the shadow is the part that's not supposed to be discussed, dissected, and understood. But we keep it there to remember and to open conversation. In fact, the reason we want to discuss shadow, let's say for the vacation example, you want to know the shadow of your vacation so that there's much to learn from in the future. If it's just a delight and you don't want to discuss the problems that occurred, the confusion, then we can't build a future product that's better. The shadow of a company, the shadow of an enterprise, and the shadow of a person. But what's beautiful about the term is that you're not you're not going to ever fall into the trap of an over-critique. For example, common to over-critique tradition, right? Because you can critique anything. But if you call it a shadow, then you're never going to enter the zone of critiquing beyond its existence, like it's all wrong, because you just named it shadow, which means that you're only looking from the flip side. But there's another coin, there's another side to that coin that is fully light, which can be discussed too. Although you prefer the shadow to be discussed because that's where relevant growth is, and that's where wisdom resides. Biblical stories deal much with shadow. There's no need to discuss the light because it's very difficult to build from light, to understand in all happiness. But when we see the failure, the shadow, we become aware of we become aware of parts, components that can be dealt with and understood and built on for our own lives, for our own experiences. So naming it shadow gives you that benefit of never over-critiquing while still maintaining the importance of critique. If you don't critique, you won't find its problems, which will result in the continuous basis of the same actions. So critique is important. It's vital. But as a shadow, because we don't want to disregard the relevant goodness of a person, of a concept. There are concepts that are more shadow than light, and then we talk of them as evil. But generally speaking, we could assure that most things are light, and then there's a shadow to discuss. Although maybe large, the shadow, but still a shadow. So what is your shadow? What is your shadow of experience, of personhood, of family, of the millions of possibilities that we could talk about? But there's no harm because it's just a shadow. Just as the sun doesn't shine everywhere, it can't get to all the crevices. Those crevices are where the shadow is. We don't forget that the sun shines on most things, but we remember that there is still that shadow to dissect and learn from, delve into, and get its goodness. So there's the shadow of shade, and then there's the profound concept of shadow, which is what we discussed, which protects over criticism while still maintaining criticism, with the subtlety of the recognition that the sun doesn't shine everywhere, and there always will be a shadow. Wherever you place something, you will always have to find the shadow somewhere. There's nobody beyond the shadow. Because sunlight in one place means sunlight not in another. So that's the concept of the profound aspect of shadow. Shadow and light. And that's my answer.